Okay, I think while it's quiet, I'm going to introduce our guests. First of all, very welcome, very good evening. And on behalf of the Faculty of Health Sciences and the Regional Library, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all here tonight. A special word of appreciation goes to Professor Amanda, the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Professor Mandela, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research, and Dr. Annette Jansen there at the back, the Director of Shared and Support Services of the Library. And thank you very much to the Library for organizing this evening for us. Also a very warm welcome to all the colleagues from academia and then the other guests here who undoubtedly have an interest in breast health, whether they were diagnosed with breast cancer, are survivors, maybe part of the medical team, or whether they support the campaign of breast cancer awareness. We came together here tonight in this lovely venue to meet, to listen to, and to become inspired by a most remarkable lady, Zoleka Mandela. Zoleka took up the pen and wrote her book, When Hope Whispers, after she was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32. In the book, she tells about her emotional turmoil immediately after the diagnosis, her initial refusal of any treatment, and a subsequent journey with the disease. The book also gives an insight into her life before breast cancer, as a young girl with grandmother Winnie in Brantford, and later on as a rebellious teenager with Mother Zinzi in Johannesburg. In total, the book is a very detailed reflection of this young lady's addictions, losses, and recoveries that she's using the experience of to give hope to other people in similar situations. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Zoleka Mandela to tell us more about her book of hope.
I hope mine's not too loud. It's not too loud. It's fine. Good evening. I firstly need to say thank you and give a heartfelt thank you to everybody that has contributed to this profound opportunity to be here today to share my story, to the University of Johannesburg and obviously the library and every other single person, and not forgetting my publishing team at Jakarta Media, my medical team, and my family at large. Had it not been for their love, encouragement, and support, I would not be here today. So my journey with When Hope Whispers, my autobiography, began in January of 2013. And at that time when I started writing, I was undergoing chemotherapy for my breast cancer. And I received about 16 treatments in total over a period of 6 months. And really at the time, I wanted to share with the reader my experiences with breast cancer and to just, take them along this life-changing journey of mine with the sole purpose of trying to inspire people and to give women and men, hope on their own journey. So I took to my laptop and I started typing away at a very difficult time in my life. Within about 5 months after I started writing, I was signed by Jakarta Media, my publishing company, and I was signed as a first-time author. And I am so grateful to my publisher, Jakarta Media, who insisted that I rather consider writing a memoir depicting my life story and, obviously my life experiences as opposed to just being my journey with breast cancer, because I realize now the impact that my book has had on so many lives, especially after being published in November of last year, which is just 3 months ago. Having to share details of my physical abuse and the sexual abuse I encountered as a child and as a teenager, or my addiction to alcohol and cocaine for 10 years, or losing my daughter and losing my son, to the journey of my breast cancer was never an easy decision to make. But I realize now that, you know, all these experiences and all these challenges, for lack of a better word, that I've gone through, have actually made me a better person and have made me the woman that I am today. And this is what I'm trying to do with the book, is just to say to people that, you know, despite whatever challenges that you go through in life, or whatever it is that you have gone through, that you still have the ability to change your life. I haven't always been, obviously, this person that's making healthier choices today. One of the most difficult things I've had to share in the book is being a failure to my children, who obviously needed me more at the time and who deserved a mother that would choose them over everything. Unfortunately, that was not the woman I was. I chose the alcohol and the sex with men and the cocaine for years and years and years over my children, and that is something that I have to live with for the rest of my life. But I do hope that people do, you know, look at my book and read my book and consider my story and see it for what it is, that I'm just trying to help people make better choices for themselves, obviously. And I always find it incredibly shocking when people come to me and say, "Oh my God, Zoleka, you've gone through this, and you know, we can't believe it that you've gone through this, being the person you are, the family that you come from." But I find that very shocking, because, you know, my story is your story, and things that I've gone through are not necessarily new to you and the next person. And that's what I'm trying to do again in the book, is to say that, you know, Zoleka and my life is not a novelty. And that, you know, despite who I am or what family I come from, that I'm still human, quite capable of fault, and quite capable of making mistakes. And I think it's important that people remember that, you know, no matter how many bad decisions you make, that, you know, we still have the power to make the right decisions, and that it's never too late. We all wanna be happy about the decisions that we're making, and we all want our lives to mean so much more. And I'm just very thankful that I've been given so many opportunities to contribute to my society and to my community. And I'm just so happy that I'm able to make healthier choices, not just to empower myself, but to empower so many women. And I'm in a very good place right now, because I really do believe that I can make a difference in people's lives and to the world. And I really do hope that people see it for what it is, that Zoleka is this passionate person who's passionate about changing lives and saving lives, and most importantly, someone that wants to inspire hope more than anything. I'm not going to take up too much more time, because we're going to go into the conversations, but I wanted to share this poem I wrote a couple of years ago when I needed hope. I find that a lot of people like me start looking for hope in many other things and many situations which could be very dangerous. You know, looking to drugs and alcohol, and, you know, trying to find comfort in relationships and that kind of thing, trying to run away from your past. So anyway, I wrote this poem a couple of months ago, and I needed something that I was going to look back to, that was my message of hope to myself. And it's really just depicts how I saw myself and my relationship with God. Woman, you carry life's tribulations and false impressions on your shoulders, heavy with dissatisfaction. Back arched, Your limp leaves a sequence of bad choices and foolishness. You are so quick to charge. That which you do not desire in relation to yourself continues to stare you in your face. A reflection of yourself you choose to conceal. In your injury, you shifted the blame, and in your melancholy, you drown. You cry the tears of women who on the sly cry by night and smile the smile of fresh mothers, longing for the status of those whose lives he's touched. Yet you do not seek and desire his direction. He has caught your tears, and he carries your continuation, for your life remains his enduring equation. What once escorted your misplaced ways and sunken sentiments lives now a woman in the course of action. You, who now lies beside your spawn, heart clenched, thankful because you know him. From the words that drip off your tongue to the lives around you that manufacture and attach each unit of your nucleus to the reconstruction of your demeanor, she is the coming of herself. She is where she needs to be. She is you. It is at his request that your life follows his design, for you were chosen countless times over. So rise, my sister, rise, for you are a fusion of unbroken blessings, for you are of the very essence. Let your energy rise to fill the hearts that hold you up, for you are a diamond. Shine your significance and radiate the light of your rebirth. Dance to your own beat, for your melody echoes his arrival. Your rhythm, an indication of self-adoration and indebtedness. Look at all that is around you, that through him you give meaning to. It's your time to stand up. Thank you.
Zoleka, thanks very much for the poem. You've got many talents coming out tonight.
Thank you.
And I must admit, once I finished reading your book, one of my thoughts was, what a full and diverse life you had up to now. And it is just so wonderful that everything that happened up to now, you hopefully in your future, you are going to be able to inspire and help so many other people in the same situation. I've got a few questions, and I want to invite our guests, if while we are busy or once Zoleka has answered and you have got a question pertaining to that specific issue, that you can just put up your hand somehow. We've got 2 roaming mics that will go around, and you're welcome then to ask in between. So let's start at the very beginning of the book. You know, I loved your detailed memories about your childhood days.
Yes.
You would describe how your grandmother was making acha at the specific bowls or the decanters, how you loved eating pomegranates, riding on a blue bicycle. And then suddenly she would tell us that she was about 9 years old when she would hide a hand grenade in a handbag. And I was just wondering, did you sense at that age that this is quite a strange life for a little girl? And do you think that maybe that exposure led to your rebellious nature as a teenager, playing with danger and addiction very frequently?
I don't ever recall thinking my childhood was strange. I knew it wasn't normal, especially with issues of the sexual abuse and the physical abuse, which started very early on. From the age of about 4 years old, I used to get physically abused up until my teenage years, and the sexual abuse from the age of 8. So none of it was normal, but it was day to day. Coming home and having the comrades that used to live with us being arrested, my grandmother being arrested all the time was normal. I have, some memories of us singing freedom songs with the comrades every day after school when I used to come home with my brother, and we'd sing freedom songs up until late at night. So, there were memories that were quite fond, but some that weren't so fond, some that were quite painful. But I don't think I would change anything about how I grew up, because I think a lot of that has to do with the woman that I am today, and my ability to try and make some kind of impact to the world.
Thank you. Then I'm going to jump to your children. You wrote these words after the passing of your daughter, Zinani, and I'm quoting, "My life would never be the same again, and it seemed as if my days mattered only to remind me of my loss." Now, to me, this sounds so terribly, terribly heartbreaking. And there are many other parents who had also lost a child. Does it get better in time? Does the hurt fade? Have you got any words of comfort that you can offer others?
I get asked that a lot by so many people. How do you deal with the loss of your kids? And I don't think you deal with the loss of your kids. It's something I wake up to every day. There's some days that are better than others. But what I try and do is be a better parent now than I was a couple of years ago. And I believe in celebrating my kids. And as far as my daughter Zinani is concerned, I do that with the road safety campaign work that I do. We launched a campaign called the Zoleka Mandela campaign a year after we tragically lost her, and that is mainly to highlight the awareness of road safety and to save more lives. We've received so much support from international organizations, and that's just been such a blessing. So we're working a lot with your UN Decade of Action for Road Safety and your Make Road Safety campaigns, and what we're trying to do is try and save more and more lives. Obviously, about 5 million lives. Trying to save about 5 million lives by the year 2020. So there's still so much work to do. I think for as long as we keep losing 1,000 kids every day, and for as long as there's 1,000 more who are injured due to accidents on the road, I think there's a lot of work to do. So,
thank you. To your breast cancer. Once you decided to fight breast cancer, you had a tattoo done with the date that you were diagnosed, and also survivor underneath that, and you had put it under or below one of your breasts.
Yeah.
Tell us why did you do that?
Well, I'm quite a fan of body art. That wasn't my first tattoo. It's actually my 10th and last one, I promise. I'm too old for tattoos now. But I got that one deliberately on the left of, just underneath my left breast, which is where I had the cancer. And even then, as much as, there were doubts, I think there was a very big part of me that knew I was going to survive breast cancer. Despite my doctor over there, Dr. Carol Bain, she was honestly amazing, and those 3 months were really just out of fear, because I really thought breast cancer was a death sentence, and it's not. It's not a death sentence. I hope that I am a testament to the fact that early detection does save lives and will continue to save lives. And that there is obviously life after cancer.
Well, I thought I'll leave that to the end, but she's bursting to tell us, so just tell her.
Well, not to obviously say too much, because I have not discussed this with my partner to be talking about it this evening, but
he doesn't know about it.
God continues to bless me, and I received a clean bill of health a month after my last diagnosis, my last chemotherapy treatment, which was on the 24th of April last year, and in May I was declared cancer-free, and a few months later I fell pregnant. This came at a time where I had thought that I had been infertile, and my biggest hurt when it came to being diagnosed was that two things, and that was that I was losing my breast, so that meant to me that I was losing a connection with my kids, because I had been breastfeeding my kids for 2 years each, the nanny and Zoleka, my first and second born, and so I was losing that connection. It was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to connect with my kids now? And the second thing was that the side effects of the chemotherapy caused me to be pushed into early menopause at 32. And there was issues. There was obviously going to be issues with the fertility, and so hence my partner and I going to a fertility clinic to try and really save some of my eggs in the event that I was going to start trying for kids again. But we didn't even have to go that route. So,
well, congratulations, and I hope your partner knows now. Just before you went to theatre for your mastectomy, you write that you took a whole lot of photographs of your breasts.
Yeah.
Now, tell us, what goes through a woman's mind if you know this is the last time I'm going to see my breasts?
Yeah. It was a little farewell party I had. I had to, say, ladies, it was nice knowing you, but ish haggis, I knew that I had to obviously make that decision. Yet another big decision, life-changing decision, to save my life. And I did that for my son, and now I'm seeing that, that's saving so many other women.
You write that in general you were feeling great during your chemo treatment, and that you ascribe that to the good choices you made to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think many of us need to know what those choices are so that we can feel better about ourselves.
Yes.
Tell us.
For as long as you're not up for making changes in your life, nothing in your life will ever change. And I had been addicted to alcohol and cocaine for 10 years. I started smoking marijuana at the age of 13 and stealing it. I started drinking. I had my first drink when I was 9 years old. And, in rehab, they talk about hitting your rock bottom. And for me, it was losing my daughter, because had I not been using and abusing drugs for so many years and choosing that over my kids, I really do believe my daughter will still be here. So I had to check myself into rehab 2 months after my daughter passed away, and that has been really one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. Today I am over 3 years and 6 months clean and sober. And so, I'm just happy about the decisions I'm making almost on a daily basis. At trying to be a better person, because I know when I do that, I'm a better mother, which is so important to me. I'm a better mother to my son, and for once I feel more useful, and I know that I'm of use to other people.
Now, I read that you are living a very healthy life at the moment in terms of exercise, eating, etc.
Yeah.
But even through your treatment, you would regularly do your everyday exercises. Tell us about the benefits there.
Yeah. I always felt good working out, and funny enough, I would go to chemo every Wednesday. By Thursday morning, I'm working out for 84 minutes the next day. And I think that had a lot to do with how I received the treatment. I know that it kept me quite positive. I know that, it was a great way to also bond with my partner. But I think it's healthy to just, try and keep a normal lifestyle and a healthier one during your chemotherapy. I mean, I think that's what worked for me.
Humor apparently played a very big role. It seems as if always, but especially it came out in your book during the treatment. Is it valuable? Did it help you cope?
It did. It did. There were some very funny parts about chemotherapy. I hope I don't offend anyone, but going to the toilet one time, I had just had one of the 4 major chemotherapy treatments, which they call the red devil, and I remember going to the bathroom and using the toilet, and when I got up to look back to flush the toilet, all my pubic hair was there. So that was funny, and I remember when my hair fell off for the first time, my oncologist told me, listen, your hair is going to fall off after 2 weeks. So that was good. That's another thing I really appreciated a lot, that my doctors, Dr. Carol Baird and Dr. Dimitri, always told me what to expect. So that really made it so much better and easier for me to cope. So when they told me this is what's going to happen, this is what happened, And I remember the one time that my hair fell off for the first time. I'd gone to the hair salon, and usually I always have weaves on, so I had to go to the hair salon and ask them to take off this weave of mine, and they usually just sew it. So they had to, undo the wool, and I remember when the guy was combing, my hair was flying all over the place, and I was like so devastated. And I went home and I called my partner Terry, and I was like, Terry, my hair's falling off, and I was crying, and I was so upset. And Terry comes upstairs, and he sees me in the bathroom, and he's like, oh shit, yeah, it looks fucked up, hey? and really after that, I remember I laughed with him, and it was really funny. And what was even funnier was my son standing behind me in the bathroom trying to do a mohawk with what was left of my hair. So yeah, there have been some funny moments there with my journey with breast cancer.
Well, I guess the lesson is there that there's always something to laugh about.
Yeah.
You write that you believe life's many brutal lessons made you the person you are today, much stronger than before. So, are you saying that you're considering the thought that what you have lost physically, your breast, were compensated for on an emotional and spiritual level?
I don't think I'd want to focus so much on the losses, but more of what I've gained, and that, yes, again, my challenges and my experiences and everything that I've gone through has made me a better person. And for as long as I feel that way, I'm on a crusade to try and make other people feel that way. There's so much you can do as an individual, but so much more you can do as a people. And I think that's what I'm about, and that's what my book is about, is that let's join this fight against, especially breast cancer, let's join this fight against, losing our children off the roads. And, this year I really hope I am able to work more with the youth. Obviously I'd like to do that and work with the youth in terms of drug awareness, which took so much of my life, which cost me my life and which cost me my daughter, I feel. So
I have got 2 more questions, and then I'm going to open the floor for questions from the guests. Zoleka, we certainly could not finish this talk without mentioning your grandfather. You had written quite a bit on him in your book, and it seems as if you were very close. It also seems as if he was quite strict. She writes how they had a bedtime curfew, and they They always got books as presents, which is really not what a child wants.
Yeah, that was so frustrating. It was, and you know, if it wasn't a book, if you wanted to, if you asked for money for anything, you'd need to produce a slip and state reasons as to why you needed that so bad. So there was a lot of discipline. He was a very disciplined person. Yeah, he was.
What would be the one thing that you fondly remember of your grandfather?
It will definitely be, you know, there's so many things, but obviously what stands out most is what I wrote in my book, and that is what he said to me after I lost my daughter. And for those who haven't read my book yet, what happened was when I lost my daughter, Zanani, in 2010, I remember I was 30 and quite overweight, and I remember my grandfather actually coming into the room where I was mourning, and at that time it was at my grandmother's home, and he came and he placed a chair in the middle of the room, and I was sitting on the mattress, and he called me and he was like, "Darling," he calls all of us darling, and he said, "Darling, come here." And I said, "No," and he was like, "Come sit here," and I was like, "No, Granddad, I can't, I'm too big for that, I'm too grown." And he was like, "Darling, come here." And I sat down, and then he said to me, "You know, you're not the first person to have lost a child. I've lost a child, I've lost children, and there's so many women who've lost children, but I think the reason why you've lost a child is so that you can instill hope in those women's lives, and I'll never forget that."
Good, thank you. Last question. What are you doing on your Wednesdays now?
My Wednesdays, you know, initially I wanted to volunteer, and my oncologist at the time was like, "No, you need to take a break and obviously take care of yourself first before you're able to volunteer." And I remember how she was saying, "You know, I'm not surprised that you want to, you know, volunteer," because I wanted to actually go into the hospitals and various places that obviously dealt with breast cancer, and to be more useful there, because it was so important for me to give back to breast cancer, because I always say breast cancer changed my life for the better. And so I never really volunteered, but I really hope that my contribution to breast cancer awareness is something that is appreciated and something that I can grow into. I really hope I can do more in terms of breast cancer. You know, I don't think women should be silent about their diseases, and I'm hoping I'm that mouthpiece for so many women, because it's not an easy thing. But you know, for as long as we're silent, the fight against breast cancer will never end, and I'll be damned if I'm silent or allow somebody else to continue being quiet about their diseases when they can do something about it.
Just so that you know why the Wednesday factor, Zoleka had her treatment always on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And when she was done, she suddenly sat with an extra day that she didn't know how she was going to fall.
It was quite depressing. I was crying. I cried because I was like, I don't want to stop chemo. I don't want to stop going to hospital. Like, what am I going to do now with myself? You know, every Wednesday. And so I think that had a lot to do with the work that I'm doing now. And I really, really feel like I can do so much more. I'm hoping that this year, we had an opportunity to speak earlier, and I was telling you about the Zoleka Mandela campaign. Sorry, the Zoleka Mandela Foundation that I'm trying to launch this year, that's going to focus on my passions, my passion for road safety and my passion for breast cancer awareness and women's issues. So I'm really hoping that takes off, and that, you know, I continue saving and changing lives.